What's happening, troops? Welcome back to another video here on the SharpDiv YouTube channel. If you are new around here, please consider subscribing. It's hat season because, as we all know, we went into lockdown yesterday for the second proper time, the same one as March just gone by, and everything shuts as a result. So my Barnet has taken a hit for the worst, you know. Not quite bad as some that we've seen kicking about in Scottish football this season, but it's up there. In this video today, we're going to go back to my first video back on YouTube where I predicted the league table, what this season would look like, and we're going to see how right and how wrong I was. We will start at the foot of the table and work our way up. And I'm glad to report, let's get a flashback. The team that I've got at the foot of the table, the bottom of the league, a lot of people are actually tipping them to go down, and it's Ross County. I predicted Ross County to be at the foot of the table, and today, as I am recording this video, that is where they are. Now they do have John Hughes in now, so he might propel them up the table. He might get them playing some more expansive football, get them climbing up that table, but so far they've looked quite decent under him. How long can that last though, and will they be able to compete with the teams there and thereabouts? Now the biggest reason I picked Ross County to go down was because of the manager, to be quite frank. Kettlewell was the manager. I didn't think that it would quite work out. In retrospect, of course, I was right, but also, I actually do like Kettlewell. He's a young manager and he can certainly come back for sure. Now moving up to my prediction in 11th place. And this is one that I got wrong, but for a large proportion of this season, you would have probably anticipated this team to be closer to the drop. And I actually had St Johnstone. They obviously lost Tommy Wright during the summer, or the COVID antics, and they brought in a new manager in Davidson, who is trying to change the ethos of the club, try to get them to play some more expansive football and attractive football, and it took time. It took time for them to get going, and for a large proportion, as I've already said, they were down near the bottom of the table, and it looked like they were down and out at certain points with certain results that they were getting. But now they're sitting pretty. They're sitting in 8th in the league, so fair play to them. St Johnstone are actually 9th. Very good, mate. You're brilliant at this, aren't you? Aye. Jesus. Ding-a-ling-ling. Number 10. We've got it right again. I don't know how I've done this, because I'm absolutely pathetic at things like this. But I've got Hamilton in 10th, and that is where they stand right now. Now, of course, they would be further up the table if they weren't awarded a 3-0 victory. And until the 3-0 was no longer valid, and then at the end of January, it'll probably come into effect again, which will push them further up the table, which will make these comments quite invalid. But, yeah, I got it right as it stands. And Hamilton are the team for me up until the last month or something like that have been absolutely rank rotten. They've been shitting goals, they've not been beating teams they're supposed to beat, but they turned a corner. And this is what Hamilton do every single year, it seems. For large periods of the season, they look hopeless. They're conceding 4 or 5 goals a game. Rangers obviously scored 8 against them, but in recent times they've been picking up results, they've been picking up good wins away to Ross County. They get Kettlewell the sack, they beat Kilmarnock at home, and everything's looking better for Hamilton as it stands. Will they be good enough to stay up? That's yet to be seen. They might go through another purple patch, but as it stands, they're sitting pretty in 10th with a potential 3 points to come. We'll see. My first stinker is coming into play right now. And to be honest with you, way back then when I made the video, I did describe them as a wee bit of a floater. Not the one in the pan, just one that goes up and down between the top 6 and the relegation battle. But for me, it looks like Dundee United are well out of that right now. Not scoring a lot of goals, but they're also not conceding many either, which eventually is going to keep you in this league. And they sit in the top 6 right now. If Shanklin starts finding form, if McNulty starts finding form, they could be a force to be reckoned with in this league. The guy that's been getting them most of their goals is Nicky Clark, and I'm buzzing for him, to be quite honest, because all the plaudits were going on Shanklin, then they bring McNulty in, but Nicky Clark is the main man up in Dundee, and he's got them in 6th at the moment. They're not absolutely blown us out the water this season, but they're a newly promoted club. They were languishing in the Championship for yonks, and now they're in the top 6, so I think United fans can be happy with that. The team that I predicted that were going to be in 8th position in the league table, much to a lot of people's dismay, and it looks like it could still happen, was St Mirren. And St Mirren are currently in 7th, not far off 8th, but you've got to say, with their start to the season, it was not looking great. They could not score in a brothel, but they've started to find some form. Some of their players are starting to play well. McGrath, Big Obi is always going to be a problem, and they're looking solid defensively 2. Apparently, they've showed really strong intent to pick up Eamon Brophy from Kilmarnock, and that is a player who has been sought after by a number of other teams that you would expect to get that over the line, but apparently the finances in Paisley are looking pretty. And the football's looking pretty as well. Jim Goodwin's got them playing some nice stuff, and it's always good to see a club trying to play the right way. And in 7th, I predicted the team that is just below them, you know, we reverse bit action there. What does that even mean? And it's Kilmarnock, of course. Kilmarnock probably haven't had the season that they were after, but they're still looking quite pretty, you know. They're still looking not too bad. They're not down at the relegation zone at the moment. They just maybe started turning a corner in their season under Alec Dyer. So I think I've done alright there. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and also let me know in the comments what you were thinking at the start of the season and how it's looking now. Right, and amongst it like a dog eating beetroot, we're moving into the top 6, and the team that I predicted in 6th was none other than Livingston Football Club, that are actually at 5th position. Can you believe that you're saying that? Can you believe it? Under Holty, they just look down and out. They just look like they won the it. They won at the races. Big Martindale is in amongst it now, and he's flying. Undefeated, I believe, and I think he's won every single game. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure he has. He's got them into a semi-final in the League Cup. They are flying. They're in number 5 in the league. Big question I want to throw out there, and it's one that I asked in the podcast. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast channel, that'll be in the link in the description. Go over there, do me a turn. Can Livingston make a late charge towards 4th or 3rd position? Because it just looks like at the moment Hibs and Aberdeen don't want it. Now the Polish. Hopefully that's no for Big Davy. Oh, I'm sorry. Right, into 5th position, and I've had an absolute mare here, you know. I've got Aberdeen at 5th position, and of course, we know where they are. They're in 3rd at the moment, aren't they? I'm looking actually alright. I know I just said Livy could maybe push the two of them, but I think Aberdeen have kind of solidified themselves in there at the moment. See, when Aberdeen go and they play teams, right, and you think to yourself, that could be a hard game, they seem to be the ones that can get it over the line. They can win ugly, and Hibs just can't do that at the moment. You know, they cannot buy a win after the result at Ibrox, which obviously they get beat, but they perform well, and you're expecting them to go on to their next 2 home games and do alright, because Newell looked fucking brilliant in that game, and then, you know, just went like that. Next game's against Celtic, so it could continue. You know, the downward spiral could continue, and Aberdeen could run away with that 3rd spot. In 4th position, I predicted Motherwell. Motherwell, probably the biggest fall from grace, you know. 11th in the table at the moment, joint bottom, managerless. I don't know what's happened to them, I really don't, but I just can't believe it. I mean, look at the clip of me describing Robinson and the players and how much a fan I was of the club and what they were doing. Go back to their midfield, very strong. Their defence, really strong. I think Gallagher is really good. I'm a massive fan of his. But then, when you get back to the goalkeeper, they actually lost their number 1. And probably one of the biggest and best pieces of transfer news during this weird window has been the manager staying there. Because he is a really good manager as well. He's proven that last season. And no spoilers in the fact that I predicted Hibs to finish 3rd. And they're in 4th, and do you know what? Still on their day, I think Hibs are a better team than Aberdeen, but they don't have the consistency. They're still a young team, granted, you know, they could still improve under Jack Ross, get better. Some of the signings that they've made this season have been brilliant, Nisbet being probably the signing of the year. Would you agree with me on that? I know a lot of people were expecting him to go there and do what he's done, and you know, I think he can still get better, and I think he can still help the team a wee bit more, but for one reason or another, they've just not had that consistency. They've not won games that you expect them to win. They've just been beat off Ross County, so it's not looking too great. And to add to that, Aberdeen have beat them twice, so, you know, not got a lot of arguments here. Moving in to the nitty gritty, and it's another one that I got bang on. I had Celtic in 2nd spot. At the time, I'm not going to lie, it was more hope than anticipation, but as far as this season has went, Celtic haven't been the best team in the country. The Rangers have been flying in that department, and you know, they're deservedly in 2nd position. They've not been good enough. They've been picking up stupid results. For the start of the season, you know, they started okay, but it went into the Old Firm game and they just looked like a fish out of water. And it would have been very disappointing for the Celtic fans as well. A lot of them were raging after their performance in the first Old Firm, and they had a chance, you know, to pull it back on Rangers. I think in the last Old Firm they made the mistake, didn't they? They didn't take their chances. Alan McGregor was sensational. They make the mistake, their shape was all over the place at the back, and Tav plays that ball through, and we all know what happened next. Rangers going to win the game, extend the lead to 19 points, 10 points after games in hand. So, you know, Celtic are in second spot, and I don't think anybody could argue with that this season. And the team that are in first spot, the team that are predicted to be there, and again, I'm going to be quite honest with you, I did not expect it to be this easy. I did not expect it to be this good for Rangers this season, but they've surprised us all. Players like James Tavernier, Glenn Kamara, Connor Goldson, all taking their game to another level. Stratospheres above what they've shown us so far as Rangers fans. Stephen Davis has came back as well. He's been really good. You know, Alfredo Morelos been trying to change his game. He's not even hit form yet. What's going on? You know, in front of goal, he's not been banging them in. Kemar Roof's come in, he's doing well. Kenty's done well, and Speary's probably going through a wee bit of a barn spell at the moment, but there's no arguments, you know. If you look at the defence of Rangers, that is what's been flying this season as well. The amount of clean sheets that they've had has been astonishing. Again, something I did not expect. Rangers are looking good. It's going to be very difficult for Celtic to claw this one back, but it's not over. I think if Rangers can go through the full of January and they can go with maximum points and Celtic drop more, I think it could be curtains. But if Rangers don't, you just never know, do you? Listen, I've had Rangers fans tell me that they didn't think it'd be this easy, they didn't want it to be this easy. It's a wee bit of an anticlimax and stuff, but no me, just geese it, up the road, shower shit in bed. Right, that's going to do it for this video. If you have enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to the channel. I've been SharpDiv, you've been yourself, and I'm out. All my weakness keep on